Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotara Satashishimat. His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotara Satashishimat. His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinatha Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Navadvip Dham Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Yamuna Mai Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Tulasi Devi Ki. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories unto the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Do you know if Ashok Prabhu's out there in the reception? Thanks. He might be actually to Haveli doing prasadam. I just need someone to get four of these, what do you call it, rope boundaries out. In this door behind me. In this door behind me, there are these, what do you call them? Four, they're kind of like pillars, posts. And you pull out these tapes. Yeah, and it just makes a kind of a channel for anyone coming in for darshan. Yeah, we do that now. So that, yeah. Thanks. Or if you can find anyone else who's at a loose end, then they could do it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, and today's text is number 8 and 9. I tried to get it on the screen earlier, but I failed. Because usually at this time I expect it to go out of this screen. If anybody is expert at this particular piece of technology, they're welcome to try. No, it can't get up. Okay, so let's just hear, because that's actually what we need to be doing. Seeing is not believing in Krishna consciousness. Hearing is believing. Nothing wrong, nothing against seeing, right? Seeing is possible, but first of all, we see through the eyes of Shastra. And to do that, one has to hear Shastra. Shastra Chakshush. Seeing through the eyes of what is written in Scripture. So, where are we? Chapter 5. Okay, let's go straight to the verse. I have a habit of doing preambles before the verse that end up taking half the class, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go straight for the verse, and if we need to backtrack or give context, we can do so after. So texts 8 and 9. Please repeat after me. We'll go line by line, and I'll go slowly. Naiva kinchit karomiti. Good, yeah. Naiva kinchit karomiti. Yukto manyeta tatvavit. Okay, let's go word by word, right? It'll be easier. There are Bhagavad Gitas on the shelf as well, if anyone wants to have a look. 5:8. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tatvavit pashan shrinvan sprasan jigran ashnan gachan svapan svasan. Text 8. Let me know when you've got it. Yeah? Okay, let's start again. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tatvavit pashan shrinvan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan svapan shvasan pralapan visarjan gurnan unmishan nimishan api indriyan indriyarteshu vartanta iti dharayan naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tatvavit pashan shrinvan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan svapan shvasan pralapan visarjan gurnan unmishan nimishan api indriyan indriyarteshu vartanta iti dharayan. Would you like to chant yourself? No? Okay. My version doesn't have the word for word, so I'm asking you to please read out the word for word translation for me.
A person in the divine consciousness.
First of all, the word for word, yeah? Word for word. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So never, certainly, anything.
Go the Sanskrit first. Say the Sanskrit word and then say the English word.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Na, never. Eva, certainly. Kinchit, anything. Karomi, I do. Iti, thus. Viktaha, engaged in the divine consciousness. Manyeta, thinks. Tattva, vit, one who knows the truth. Hashan, seeing. Shanvan, hearing, Sprishan, touching, Jigaram, smelling, Ashnam, eating, Gachacham, going, Shwapan, dreaming, Shvasam, breathing, Pralapam, talking, Vishvajam, giving up, Grinam, accepting, Unmisam, opening, Nimisam, closing, happy, in spite of. Indriyani, the senses, Indriya Ateshu, in sense gratification, Vartante, let them be so engaged, Iti, thus, Dhariyan, considering.
Thank you. Good. Okay. Translation. A person. I'll do it. My book might be slightly different to yours. This is an earlier edition. A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, opening, or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and that he is aloof from them. Let's read this translation together, yes? So I will say one phrase, and then you will repeat it. Thanks. A person in the divine consciousness.
Person in the divine consciousness.
Although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and that he is aloof from them. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. A person in Krishna consciousness is pure, and his existence, and consequently, I am reading the small print. A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence, and consequently he has nothing to do with any work which depends upon 5 immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and fortune. This is because he is engaged in the loving transcendental service of Krishna. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he is always conscious of his actual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification. But in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in things of the senses. Activities such as seeing, hearing, speaking, evacuating, etc. are actions of the senses meant for work. A Krishna consciousness person is never affected by the actions of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord, because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupakaramayam Darati Svaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpaturbhyascha Kripasundubi Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. So in this 5th chapter, we're hearing about how one can work in the world and it's not material. It's possible to work in the world spiritually. And therefore this chapter is called Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. And last time I was sat here, we were hearing how some people, more traditionally perhaps, would be determined to retire from any activities and would simply engage in philosophical analysis. They would analyze this material world in an effort to find out what is actually the truth. Yes? Or what is real? What is permanent? Aside from all of the temporary comings and goings of material phenomena. Everything that we see comes into being and passes out of being. Nothing that we are interacting with today or next month or next year will stay for very long. Everything in this world is changing. So many conditions are coming into existence and passing out of existence. That's the nature of this material world. Everything is in flux. So, some transcendentalists named Gyanis, they're interested in analyzing this world in order to find out what is the underlying internal principle. They're interested in separating spirit from matter. Yeah. And when they find out what is spirit, what is Brahman, what is the ultimate, yes, that is compared to finding out the root of everything. What is the root of this phenomenal existence? So then the question becomes, well, once you have discovered the root of this phenomenal existence, what are you going to do about it? Okay, now you know what the root is, and now you know what is the difference between spirit and matter, and you can analyze the constituents of this material world and divide them into whatever it is, 16 or 24. Yeah, you can split everything up and say it's only made of these 24 things. Yeah, and there's another thing which is spirit. Great. Now what are you going to do? What do you do? So Srila Prabhupada, in the earlier purport, he says that after finding the root, then one should be interested in watering the root. So the result achieved by analytical study, which is to find the root and to be interested in watering the root, that result is the same as one who takes to the path of devotional work. Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means that ordinarily I would work for myself and my own purpose and my own sense enjoyment, but because that is not a healthy process, that is not actually what my soul needs, therefore I'm going to dedicate my work and the results of my work to God. It could be the same work, it could be the same type of work, the same activities. the same going through the motions. But in one situation, that work is for my own motive, my own purpose. And in another situation, the same work actually may be for God's purpose, for His pleasure. So if I've found the root of existence, and I'm interested in serving the root of existence, yes? Great. And if I'm already engaged in working for the sake of the Supreme, then I've already achieved the result of Sankhya, of analytical study. If someone says to me, there is God, He is great, He is the root of existence, you're His tiny part and parcel, yes? You should simply engage in the service of His senses. Use your senses, your body, your mind, your words to serve Him, who is the master of your body, mind, and words. Just engage yourself in activities that can be dedicated for His pleasure. Just do that. And if I do that, then that is the beginning. That is the karma yoga. And by doing that, I am already doing the thing that would be the result of, retiring and studying and analyzing to find the root. So two apparently different processes, but actually they're one because they both aim to water the root. And the root is Vishnu. The root is Krishna. So in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Yagyartat karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartam karma kantaya mukta sangha samachara. The Lord says, Krishna says, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu must be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. So we don't want to suffer bondage in the material world because that means we have to suffer. We have to grow old. We have to get sick. We have to die. We have to take birth again. Right? Go to school again. Put up with all of the petty politics of the schoolyard. Yeah? Mean, kids being mean, us being mean. Right? Who wants to go through that? And then becoming a teenager, yeah? Becoming attracted to the opposite sex, but doesn't work out because you haven't a damn clue what you're doing. And then you get your heart broken, or you break somebody else's heart, tit for tat. Yeah? I mean, who wants to go through this whole rigmarole? Really? But that's inevitable for anybody who is hell-bent on material work. Yeah? Then you're going to get involved in a long-term relationship. You're going to get married. You're probably going to have kids. And that brings a whole new level of trouble. You have to work hard to maintain the status quo and to keep everybody happy. There are so many demands from the family members. Yes? You never have time for yourself now. If you're doing your duties properly, because everybody requires something from you and, you're too responsible to ignore them. So now you've got no time for yourself. I just wanted to add a little thing to my life, a little happiness. Yeah, so you got married, and now you've got no time for any of the things you thought you would be able to have time for. And then by the time you do have time, you're old and weak, feeble, and your opportunity is gone. And now you're just waiting to kick the bucket. And you still have so many hopes and dreams. And because of your material hopes and dreams, you're going to be offered another body. But if you haven't performed religious, pious activities in this life, the chances are that you will be degraded as a result of sinful activities. So even though you'd like to be king of the castle, you end up a dog in the king's castle. So this is not a good program of activities. Karma is not a recommended program of activities. Because even if one performs karma in the sense of pious work, by which one can be elevated to other higher planets, still, the inevitability is that one will fall from higher planets with a thud. So material activity really means two types of activity: karma and vikarma. Vikarma means not recommended, sinful, against God's wishes, against the scriptures, for which there are heavy reactions. Right? Heavy reactions. Is it Newton's third law of physics? Huh? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, so if you do stupid stuff, you're gonna suffer for it. If you give other people trouble unnecessarily, you will find yourself in trouble. So this is the story of vikarma. Right? Lusty, greedy, envious, angry activities that get you into hot water later. Or now, you take it, but eventually it'll all catch up with you and you'll end up in pain. This is the process of vikarma, not recommended. Okay, well, let me not then take up vikarmic activities. Let me do good activities. Let me perform pious activities, religious activities. Right? So that I can secure for myself a higher standard of material life. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai. Let me avoid vikarma. Let me take up karma. I'll perform religious ritualistic activities mentioned in the scriptures so that I can get material benefits. I can be elevated to heaven, where there is a good opportunity for enjoying. Right? Plenty of beautiful women. Soma Ras is there. Right? Nice beverage. And the standard of sense gratification is so much more than what I'm getting here. Yeah? Okay, you can do that. You can perform all kinds of pious activities, open hospitals, give in charity, yes, do different religious rituals, worship some demigods, go to heaven. Great. No, it's not so great, because unless you wake up to your spiritual reality, you will run out of credit while you're up there. Yeah? And when your credit runs out, you will fall back down to earth. It's mentioned in the Vedas in the form of rain. A little raindrop coming down, back down to earth. And then from the raindrop, you're transferred to the grain. By the grain, you're eaten by some male. And with a particle of the seed of that male, you'll be injected into the womb of a female to again receive another body for more material activities. And again, if you do some nice pious work, you get to go to heaven. But there's a good chance that you may go the other way, because who knows what kind of association you'll get, what kind of people you'll hang out with, and what kind of activities, nefarious activities, they may engage you in. And in order to secure money or enjoyment, you may perform vikarma without knowing the consequences. And as a result, when you next kick the bucket, excuse my parlance, but when you next pass on from the body, you will be required to undergo correction, purification. In Yamaraj's abode, receive some taste of the results of your sinful life in the form of different suffering. And then Yamaraj will say, this type of body is now available to you. It's not what you wanted. Yeah. It could be the body of a hog or a dog or anything. There are 8,400,000 species to choose from, but you don't get to choose really. They are assigned to you based upon your consciousness and your activities. So this is the net result of karma, whether pious or impious. It's karma. All it is striving for some happiness, occasionally getting a little bit, but most of the time struggling, suffering, and undergoing transformation, birth, maturation, producing children, getting sick, growing old, dwindling, And ultimately having to say goodbye to everything that you have built. Bye-bye everything that I love. Bye-bye everything that I've gathered. Bye-bye everything that I've worked so hard to maintain. Goodbye to all of it. This is called samsara, the wheel of repeated birth and death. And this is the net result of karma. Boy, oh boy, what a story. Not a pretty story. Is there some other option? Can I do something else? Yeah, you can avoid karma altogether. Yeah, and try to analyze what the material world is, how it's a big illusion, how it's a big, what's the word? I don't want to say sham because one of Krishna's names is Shama, but it's a farce. It's a big illusion. So analytical studies, Sankhya will expose the illusion. It will show us the illusion, and we'll find the root. And once we found the root, we will water the root. But it's not necessary to go through a whole process of analysis in order to water the root. I can just take up karma yoga. Okay, karma sounds like a really bad option after you've explained it. The karma option doesn't sound so good. It doesn't sound very healthy. Is there any other way that I can exist? I can live in the world, act in the world, in such a way that I don't have to receive the net result of this karma path. Because to me, running away to the forest, sitting down, and maybe studying the scriptures, and with my very sharp discernment, analyzing the material world and searching out Brahman, trying to find the spirit, trying to find God in my own heart, even if I'm an Ashtanga yogi, that doesn't sound very practical to me. Yeah? My tongue wants to taste something. My eyes want to see something. My ears want to hear some nice sound. My fingertips want to touch something pleasant. Right? I want to smell a fragrant smell. My limbs itch for some activity, some work. Okay? My belly rumbles for something to eat. And the sex urge is always there, demanding satisfaction. So what chance is there of me sitting under a tree or sitting very still and not getting involved in anything to do with this world? How long will I be able to keep that up? Well, maybe some people can. They'll try. They'll go to the Himalayas. They may sit by the bank of the Ganges. But Krishna says in the beginning of the 12th chapter that to seek out the impersonal form of the Lord by this method of discernment, by negating, by pushing out of the way everything that appears to be material, that is a long and arduous path, a difficult path, troublesome, very troublesome. Okay, so the karma path is no use. It's just, pain all the way practically. Little glimmer of hope. But what use is a glimmer of hope in dense darkness? What use is a drop of water when you're dying of thirst in the desert? What use is it if you're allowed momentarily to take a gasp of air if you're drowning in the ocean and again you're pushed under? So what value is this karma path? And then this path of renunciation or withdrawal, an analysis of the illusion, that's troublesome because my senses and my mind are demanding. So I've got one path that is difficult, painful, and ultimately miserable. And I've got another path that promises spiritual happiness, but it's troublesome, it's difficult. It requires a lot of sense control. Please, is there a third option? Is there something that is more practical, more helpful, more healthy? Yes. It's called karma yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. You can act with your senses. You can engage your mind. You can be busy. You can see things, hear things, touch things, smell things, taste things. You can even use your sex impulse in Krishna consciousness. It's called marriage. for begetting good children. Right? It's all possible in Krishna consciousness. Karma yoga. Karma means action, right? Pious or impious action. Vikarma means impious, of course, but if we just take the word karma to mean action for myself. Karma yoga means that action I would usually do for myself, I'm now doing it for God. That makes it yoga, makes it karma yoga. Yoga means to connect with the Lord. So great, I have an option. I can actually use the machine I've been given and, on the nature that I find myself stuck with. I can now use it in a spiritual way, and a way that actually gets a result which is not repeated birth and death, which is not heartache and loss. This is very good news. And then in text 7, we were covering that last week. Then in text 7, the Lord says, one who works in devotion. Right? So there's working not in devotion, there's working in selfishness. That gets you into trouble, right? That's karma. But there's work in devotion, karma yoga. It's actually the beginning of bhakti. Yoga means bhakti yoga. At the end of the 6th chapter, this is explained. Yoga means bhakti yoga. Karma yoga is the beginning of bhakti yoga process. Because what's the easiest thing to yoga? What's the easiest thing to connect to God? It's your body, your work. You yoga that first. Then by performing activities for the sake of the Supreme, what will be the reward? You'll get knowledge. Right. Then you'll engage your intellect, your discerning faculties, and your interest in knowledge in yoga. Instead of reading some book on the mating habits of ladybugs, you will read a Vedic literature that describes God and your relationship with Him. So you're yogaing your intelligence, your mind. Then when that matures, develops, the mind will be on the Lord. You'll be entering into a state of meditation, dhyana yoga. And then when you have the culmination of karma, gyan, and dhyan, action, knowledge, and fixity of mind, meditation, when these things mature and come together and culminate, they will culminate as love. Love may be there to some degree in the beginning. Otherwise, how can you work for someone you don't really love? Maybe a little affection is there. But as one matures in one's love, the culmination of bhakti yoga is the culmination of love. Which means, I love God, therefore all of my work is for God. All of my knowledge is about God, dedicated to God's glories. And all of my thinking is in God. The culmination, bhakti yoga. So karma yoga is the beginning of the yoga ladder. So one who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who can, right? This is not a different path. It's not that karma yoga and bhakti yoga are two separate paths. They're not. Karma yoga is part of the bhakti yoga path. One who works in devotion who is a pure soul. Well, a really pure soul is a bhakti yogi. And he will naturally work in devotion. All of his work will be in devotion. So he automatically does karma yoga as a result of being a perfect bhakti yogi. So one who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Although always working, such a man is never entangled. He's always working, but he doesn't get entangled in the karmic reactions. Why? Because all of his work is for the sake of the Supreme. So there's no karma, no reaction. Just like a soldier, if he fights on the warfield, yes, for the sake of the state, for the king, there's no consequence, there's no negative consequence for fighting or killing. They give him a medal. His name goes on the wall. Such an heroic soldier, right? What did he do? He shot the enemy. But he didn't fire for himself. He fired for the king, for the state. In the same way, if we work for the sake of God, there's no material result. There's only a spiritual result. So never entangled in the karmic reactions. The chain of karmic reaction comes to an end. Right? If the fan's whirling, yeah, I pull the plug, I cut the electric, yeah, no power, no further propulsion, maybe a little momentum, right, winding down. So right now in this body, I can take up spiritual work. I'm not generating any future material reactions. But this body itself is a material reaction. I have to put up with it for the time being. Yeah? But if I dedicate this body, mind, and words, intelligence, in God's service, in this life, it's like the complete winding down of that fan, metaphorically speaking. And then death means no more material activity. And you graduate. You get a spiritual body. You have no more business in this material world. Does it sound like a good proposal? A good proposal. If we're still callous to the reality of the material world, if we still think it's not a bad place, I have some little hope here to achieve all of my goals. Yeah? Time will give us the realization we need. But to avoid all of the experience, to avoid learning by experience, let's try to think it up. Let's try to hear first and consider it. Is it true? Is that my future? Even if I get, the money, the position, the girl, the whatever, all of it. I don't know, everybody has their own, right? But pretty much it comes down to a few things, right? Puja, labha, pratishta, worship, adoration, profit. If I get all of that in whatever planet, will that do it for me? Well, it might do it for you for a while, but the problem is a while doesn't last. And in the cosmic scale of things, a while is nothing. And whatever little bit of a while you enjoyed for, you'll forget. You'll forget all of the enjoyment that you achieved. The position, the worship, the facilities for enjoying my senses. Whatever you get to enjoy, and whatever you do enjoy, the entire experience will be forgotten. It'll be what's that word? Swallowed? There's another word beginning with G. Golloped. Is that the word? No. What's the word when a kid, it begins with G. It's the same as swallow. Golloped. Yeah, golloped. I haven't used that word in a long time. It sounds strange. Gollop. But all of my experience will be golloped up by cosmic time. You won't remember any of it. Well, you'll at some point you'll just be sitting in pain, going, "How did I end up here?" Right? I was Indra. I was Brahma. Apparently, I don't remember, but must have been. And now I'm still suffering. So the proposal of karma yoga, engaging my work, engaging the results of my work to serve Krishna, is a good proposal. What to speak of taking up chanting Hare Krishna, hearing about Krishna's glories. So today's two verses. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in all of these material activities, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, breathing, right? Working with the body and the mind. If he is in divine consciousness, he always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, Hare Krishna. I know what you want to say is important. Yeah? But if both of us speak, then we can't hear Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So, because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. Right? Because he's spirit, he's in the heart, he's a little fragment, tiny fragment of Krishna, nothing to do with this machine. I'm just riding on this machine. This is my car. Yeah? Whatever goes on in the car has nothing to do with me. Really. Right? It's the super soul's business. You know, look at my nail. Right? I'm not in my nail. I'm conscious of it because I'm afforded that awareness. But I don't know how my nail grows. I just, a couple of weeks later, it's longer than it used to be. Take anything that happens with this body. We have nothing to do with it practically. We're just aware that we're in it. So one who is in transcendental consciousness knows that he has nothing to do with all of the actions and reactions of the body. But he uses the machine given to him to serve Krishna. Very simple thing. In this purport that we read, I wanted to go over it twice, but then I wouldn't have time for questions. Srila Prabhupada mentions that a person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence, and consequently, he has nothing to do with any work which depends upon 5 immediate and remote causes. So all the work in this world is caused by 5 things, and this is mentioned in the 18th chapter. What are the causes of work in this world? Well, you've got the doer, the work itself, the situation, the endeavor, and fortune, or daiva. Let me see if I can find the verse specifically. 18. One second. Come on. Worker. No understanding. That's the problem. I'm under pressure to talk, and then I can't relax and go looking for the verse. Okay, there we go. 5 factors. Text 5. No. 5 factors. Action. Yes, 5 factors. Learn from me the 5 factors of action. Let's just look at that briefly. Text 18. No, that's not it. Okay, never mind. The worker, which means the doer, huh? The doer is the soul because he desires. So I desire to do something. Then Krishna arranges for me to carry out that action. Right? The work itself is the cause of one work leads to another type of work. One action leads to another action. The situation, right? We're all conditioned by circumstance. Yes? So the circumstances that we're in affects the type of work and the result of the work. Then the endeavor. You have to actually try. Yes? And your trying does not guarantee a result. We read that earlier in Krishna book. So you can put everything together. You can put all of the ingredients together and you can try your best. And still, the result that you seek is not guaranteed. Because there's a very important other factor of action, and that is called Daiva, the supersoul, the deity who arranges for everything. He sanctions the results of all activities. So one who is in spiritual consciousness knows, I am a spirit soul. This body is simply a material machine. I do not control the actions of this machine. I simply desire. And the supersoul, God, who is with me in the heart, He arranges that these actions are carried out. And He also arranges for appropriate results. So ultimately I'm dependent on Krishna, who is the supersoul residing with me in my heart. And therefore we should always do our work for Krishna's pleasure, depending upon Him. That is the proper way to perform work. We're out of time. If anyone has any question, you can ask.